Welcome in, everybody, to Dex Gadgets on Twitch. The last stream we did, we unboxed a blimp for wind control outside. That's going to be used in some upcoming streams from the backyard that will be on this channel, Dex Gadgets, and some other products, and a MacBook Neo. And that's basically just a notebook laptop from Macintosh. That has had a really, really big impact on my plans. We do have some new things to look at. We have an upcoming project that I am gearing up for. This will be you know what? We have a nicer camera angle down here. It's just lit better. The lighting's intended for this angle. So I will be collaborating with Ruby Dark Rose here on Twitch. They are a VTuber gamer, and they also do some arts and crafts, which is super up my alley. They're a voice actress as of recently. They have a little voice acting gig for a game. I believe they're voicing a character in a game, which is absolutely incredible. And they're extremely entertaining to listen to, and they're super, super kind. So what we're gonna do, and I do need to nail down the actual name of this organization and everything, but we will be collaborating for a charity stream. This will be for a global mental health organization. We're both super excited about the idea. We're both creative people. She's an artist. She did her own VTuber art, and she does a lot of art in collaboration with other streamers and other people. So the plan is, she'll make things digital, I'll make them physical, and we're gonna auction off the physical result for charity. So that's the plan. I've got my maker channel going now. Tonight is the first stream. So this is the room, for those that haven't seen it. This is my creator room. Trying to decide if that sounds super fishy or not. But this started out as a streaming studio, a streaming room in a way. And I played games. We found a CRT after we built a retro themed streaming PC. So we found a CRT to kind of match the vibe. We played Sorry, I just got a follow. That's super sweet. Super, super sweet. Thank you so much. Person that is hopefully doing extremely well and is not smiling. Not allowed unless it's fine now. Last I heard from Viridian, it was still painful, but thank you. You're my 5th follower. That's awesome. Okay, so yes, this little room started, it was always gonna be my maker studio project room, and it kind of started as a little streaming space in a corner over there. We had 5 shelves in here at one point. This was basically a storage room. And when I started last October, I started on my phone. I didn't know I could save VODs then, so we lost the first few. But since then, I've captured everything, and we have gone from a little desk that was in the corner with some lights just barely put up, to now a space that is almost ready for prime time and basically fully committed towards making and sharing what goes on in this room. So, Dana A., welcome in. Awesome to see you. You are my first Yeah, you're my first chatter, technically. You're an OG and you're a first ever chatter on this channel. So let's dive in. Let's take a look at this stuff. We have a box, believe it or not. Oh, and I'm reading the label, which you probably can't see what this is, but this will be a pretty exciting thing. I don't know if this will get used for that collaboration, But these are round 4-inch slate coasters that come with little felt feet. Okay, they're fully ready to go. So these actually look absolutely gorgeous. Apparently under the UV laser that I have, these will engrave and mark exceptionally well. Typically the ones I see on social media, on YouTube and stuff, are the square ones. These ended up being a tiny bit cheaper, I think, and they looked different. So this will be a good set to kind of get started with. It's a set of 13. They were actually pretty reasonably priced. I was really surprised. I've been spending my whole time lasering, trying to use construction paper and like low cost means of testing and creating. I never bothered to look at what actual coupons cost, what basically blank unbranded things cost. And economies of scale have taken over. They're pretty cheap. I don't know if anybody would be interested in a meme coaster, a custom one-off. If you live in the US or Canada, I guess basically if you live in the Americas, I'm thinking shipping will be pretty reasonable. We could probably work something out, a design that you like, and I can try to make something for you and laser engrave it and ship it to you if you're at all interested. So if anybody out there is interested in a meme coaster, let me know. I may eventually have a website and have these as like product options, and the goal would actually be that would be the way you would support me, is you'd buy an actual physical thing, and maybe it would cost a tiny bit more than like a sub or something like that, but you'd actually get a physical product and still support me. And with this new channel hopefully never having any ads on it, it should be a no-brainer. We just don't have emails. Viridian, welcome in. My second ever chatter on this account. Thank you so much. My first time chatter was Dana A, believe it or not. Super, super cool. Yeah, you could have custom Silly-Fi coasters, and I know that you all do in fact live in the States, and shipping would be very affordable to Viridian. So if you ever have any ideas, let me know, because I literally need to do testing on some coasters. These are 4-inch slate coasters. If you had a meme that you wanted, I can try to make that the goal to get like a finished product on one of these coasters, and I'll do my testing on another one, and then hopefully do a full trial run on one of those. And then once I have my settings documented, I'll be able to do sets of these potentially for the collaboration charity streams that I'm going to be doing. But anyway, Viridian, welcome in. Thank you so much for joining me on Dex Gadgets. I'm Declan, also known as Phi, and this is my gadgets and making channel, which will be separate from my gaming and editing. That'll be all on the Phi Morph side now. Not going away, just there's going to be less confusion, and people can pick and choose what they want. So we're going to keep looking at these. This next set, I'm actually very excited about. This is one heck of an upgrade. If I can open it. Where's my scissors? I don't know. Oh, I found them. Let me make sure I change cameras. Imagine the Dana frog anamorph on a coaster. Coming back to this camera angle. Yes, that would be most excellent. You made that too. You made, you did the beaver and the frog, I believe. So, sorry everybody, we're segueing straight back to coasters. So this is a 4-inch coaster. I love this idea. I absolutely love this idea. So if we had like a circular anamorph, like just reorient the different states of development. So it would just be a circle of anamorph. That would be absolutely amazing. Okay, so continuing on, we've got some more laser goods. These I should have gotten, honestly, years ago when I had my first laser. Oh, these are the special ones. So these are 304 stainless business cards. These are going to be a test coupon for me. So it's brushed stainless steel, and it's got like a little plastic covering on it. So these react, stainless steel reacts in an oxygen environment in kind of interesting ways. If you can tune a laser very, very precisely. I don't know if the UV can do it, but there's certain fiber lasers that can, where you can tune the heat that is put into a stainless material so precisely that you can get full, I'll say full color engraving, full color marking. What happens is it oxidizes the stainless at a very specific temperature. The oxidation creates little crystals, and those crystals are just the right size to affect light. Just like a butterfly's wing creates color and reflection, the size of those crystals can be tuned to give off certain wavelengths of light, or basically absorb all the other ones. So it'll be a super fascinating thing to mess around with. Also, I have a nice thick metal business card sized thing that I can mess around with the UV laser. So that'll be very fascinating. So I can do some deeper engraving on a different material and test that out. This as a product, for anybody that may be interested, is interesting. So what I've learned is you want a thicker version of these. I believe this is the 0.8 millimeter version. It sounded like in the reviews, anything smaller with diode and UV lasers just wasn't a good fit. It would warp. It would pull in so much heat and retain it, and it would warp to Kingdom Come, basically. The 0.8 seemed to be enough. There were a lot of more positive, flawless reviews. This appears to be die cut, which, of course, it makes sense that it would be, but to me, it doesn't look like it's the flattest effect. I can tell that they stamped it this side. I don't know if you'll be able to tell from the corners here, but it's slightly convex where there's kind of a stress riser on that corner, and this side would be slightly concaved. So I can get it to distort the reflection. So I don't know if that is just normal thickness, what's gonna happen, or if their die cutter was wearing out and these are like B grade parts potentially. A lot of these bulk items, especially if you look at them on eBay, AliExpress, they're actually B grade components advertised as cheap, full quality versions. You usually, like if you buy a giant LED, you're missing out on some of the power or the colors off, something like that. They were rejects from the full quality product. So I'm always kind of suspicious that the Amazon listing is literally just a drop ship version of the junk that's out there. These will suffice for my needs. As for doing like custom business cards for people, I think it would still work. It's just kind of a fit and finish observation of these. Could be completely normal, but I did notice that it's a shinier surface and it's slightly distorted because it's kind of bent around the edges from the manufacturing process. So those were the stainless steel business cards, the 0.8 millimeter thick ones. Veridian says, oh, that would be legendary to have an old Davy on a coaster. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you could really do all sorts of things with that concept. truly, you're really good. Pets, celebratory, like so-and-so hit X number of followers or got partnered or something, like dates and stuff like that. That could be kind of fun. And then straight up memes. Actually, it would be really fun if I could distribute stuff like that. Like if you wanted to create a 4-inch Animorph remix, and then I could etch it, send you one for you, but if more people wanted them, that I'd have the file and just redo it, and then it could be like the materials and shipping and like laser time could be worked into the price, but beyond that, I'd be like donating my time or whatever, and then it could be basically merch proceeds for streamers or whoever's involved. Be super cool. Okay, next thing coming up is the thing that I should have gotten years ago. Very similar to the last thing that we looked at. I think, if I've got the right box, if I'm remembering anything correctly. It's been, I've slept since I thought of this. Yes, all right. So these are black anodized aluminum business cards. These are very thin, which could be a choice. If I was using a diode or a fiber laser to remove the, we'll call it pigment, from these, it'd be probably a pretty miserable experience because these would bend all over the place. But very shiny black. Okay, so this is interesting. I was wondering if these were truly anodized or if they were painted. Anodizing is a chemical similar to an electrolysis process. A dye is put into solution with, I believe, an acidic acid or an acidic fluid. I don't know if it's like water with salt type situation or if it's more than that. And then bare aluminum is submerged. Depending on how you can connect a DC current, you will create a reaction where the dye will basically react and flow into and bond and dye the metal. It'll get into the actual grain structure, in a sense, into the pores of the metal. It's a really good finish. It doesn't hold up in the sunlight, weirdly, I guess, since it's still a dye and very thin. But all the same, super cool and very, very difficult to DIY consistently. It's more of an industrial scale thing. So having these to test on the laser will be incredibly useful. What I've been using for the past years that I've been messing around with lasers are black cardstock. It's basically just construction paper. This is from Astrobrights. This is just their black construction paper. I don't remember the thickness, but it's not the thickest construction paper. It feels like cardstock. It might even be advertised as cardstock. I'm seeing something 110 GSM. I can't tell. There's 3 numbers over there that I can't quite read. What happens when you etch this with a laser that's tuned just right is this. You'll remove the pigment from the paper and you will get a gray, and gray becomes your white in this case. And then you can selectively leave the dark wherever you want. Now, the effect on black anodized aluminum is a lot more dramatic. It's probably not as dramatic as black acrylic, where black acrylic basically has a white mark, very visibly opaque white, but it will be shiny aluminum in contrast to a very deep black compared to this cardstock. So this is very exciting because when I go to do tiny little laser tests, like this is some blocks, some interval tests on a super small scale with text next to them, some little swirl patterns as I was dialing in the focus. That ring there is concentric rings inside of each other. There's probably like, I don't know, 20 rings super densely packed in there. You can see what I used to do is use a Sharpie of whatever color I had to hand, and I would basically remove that ink with the laser, and it would give me basically a substrate of aluminum, which is a little bit denser than the texture of the paper. Because the dot size on this freaking UV laser is so tiny that I, one, need at least a 4x microscope to even see it, and two, I'm having trouble finding materials that will even show me what's actually happening, like finding perfect focus, tuning laser intervals to make sure everything's overlapping but not too much. It's a challenge. And this should give me some benefits there because there's a lot more contrast available. These are super cheap. I now own like, I don't know, 300 or something. So there's nothing lost here. I could also do a small, you know, I could make myself business cards with QR codes and shit. That would be pretty cool. Another thing that I've noticed is these are super thin. This flashing, this is aluminum flashing for like sighting, is actually thicker, but there's like a brushed texture to this, which I think just comes from like the rolling, flattening process. But it looks brushed. That becomes a new grain structure that is smaller than the paper, but not much smaller, where the laser beam seems to be smaller than a grain, or I guess I'll call it a grain. On this paper, it seems to be a little bit bigger than the lines on this brushed rolled out aluminum, but it's still difficult to see. So now we have a super high contrast test platform in the form of these business cards. Also, the prices have come down, incredibly cost efficient for my specific needs. If I was making business cards with this, I would get a much thicker version. And it remains to be seen if this is painted or anodized. But stacked up like this, it's a little bit easier to see what the bare aluminum will look like in comparison to the gloss shiny black. So super cool. Up next we have Pocket Craft notebooks. These are size A6, so a little bit smaller. 48 pages, 24 sheets, and 170 pack. Honestly, I don't need 170 of these. I don't ever think I'm gonna need 170 of these. But you know what? When you buy in bulk, it's so easy to get carried away. I did a little bit of research and I basically picked two options. This is one of them. These are black covered notebooks. They advertise that they can lay flat, which it looks like they can. This is actually a lovely size. These are non-ruled. These are just blank pages. The paper thickness, I picked one that was advertised as not being the thinnest. I think this one may have even advertised that it was like no bleed through with pen. We'd have to test that to be sure because these seem fairly thin. And why don't we? Why don't we? We're reviewing stuff here. For future reference for moi,
also anybody else that may be looking at similar things. So I'm gonna grab some pencils, which I just realized I misplaced one of my pencils, and some pens, and we're gonna test these as we go. So this, I wish I had a proper brand name for you. Let me see. These are from Fila. So if you wanted to find a similar one, you look for an A6 sized blank 48-page pocket craft notebook from Fila, one that is just blank pages, non-ruled. Also, one more thing that I need. Go through my markers here. Looking for a gel pen. Also, we'll just grab a silver one. It's in the pins, not in the markers. Good going. All right, well, we have even more shit to test out. God dang it, I'm gonna be here all night. Okay, so this, why don't we mark on here? Okay, so I have this black cardstock that we talked about recently. It is slightly darker than what they've used here, but very, very slightly. Not necessarily a huge deal here, but still a decently dark ink on here. It's not like a super light, low quality deal. A lot of these notebooks, they're kind of marketed towards teachers. Like you can get your students a huge pack and they can write down their memories, or, you know, it's interesting marketing. The marketing team's kind of fascinating with some of their marketing. But let's do, why don't we do Dex Gadgets. Watch me spell this. Book. That's okay. Book of what? We'll stop at book. We'll stop while we're ahead. Why don't we? Because I'm blanking. It's late. But yeah, that is a Jelly Roll 10. I think that's a 1 millimeter size. Actually, it's a 1.0. I'm assuming that's what that is. And this would be an 0.5. So looks really nice. That comes out quite well. Very happy with that. So yeah, you could use a contrasting cover marker or gel pen to decorate your cover. I really like that. The goal, the hope, is that this material will laser mark like this construction paper does. If it'll focus. There we go. Not quite enough light for it to focus. Where this construction paper will lighten to kind of a lighter gray, and it contrasts pretty well, and there's pretty high resolution to the original dark color. That's the goal with this. We will be absolutely exploring that in the near future. The end goal for these is to laser etch artwork onto these, and then either sell them as like a branded, like, well, maybe let's say we did like a limited run with this artwork of these simple, cheap notebooks that could be sold off, maybe just even as like an auction item, or to raise funds for another laser or something like that. A physical, useful thing that somebody can get in exchange for their money, instead of money just going into tax on different platforms when you exchange to their, you know, their currency or whatever on that platform, or if you get a subscription somewhere, still some of that money doesn't ever get somewhere, what if you could use that money instead to cover some of the shipping cost and you get an actual physical thing and you're still supporting your artist or whoever you're trying to support. That's kind of the concept that's super exciting to me about this. So we've tested out the white jelly roll. Let's test out a red. This is 0.8 millimeter. How do I want to do this? Maybe I'll just, do I want to underline? I think maybe we do a little cartoon pow type situation. So I have not used this specific gel pen in quite some time. What? It turns yellow on the paper. What? That's wild. Whatever ink is in here is reacting with this. Both of these papers. They do also say this is like acid free. That could just be these pages and this isn't. I don't know. I need to learn some of my terminology and stuff. But yeah, no, that's not red. That's more yellow. I have a silver Pigma 0.5 millimeter archival ink waterproof marker. Let's see how that shows up on here. Just do a little design down the side. Something that's really cool, I don't know if anybody is familiar with Zentangle. It's just a pattern making process that is super therapeutic to make. My friend Commerkle, who is a streamer, has in effect been making Zentangle without realizing it as a reward for people supporting their partner push. They'll make a canvas, and as people support, they'll get little flowers made out of beads and things like that. And it has very much a flowy, sort of segmented vibe, and that is Zentangle. I don't know if I have an example super handy, but I have done some Zentangle on a page just like that before. And I guess if I don't immediately see it, I will give up. It'd be something to prepare or put some B-roll in for this video. But yeah, you could do a Zentangle cover on this super easily with one of these white gel pens. I think that'd be an absolute blast. Also, if you did a particular type of art or image that somebody really liked, then if it was formatted perfectly, you could just slide this onto a jig on your laser bed, give it like, 2 to 5 minutes, and you would have an etched version on the book. It remains to be seen how this paper is going to react. This is not white core paper. White core paper is kind of a sandwich of 3 papers, where one is white, basically. I've used that very effectively in this project after trying countless times on this type of paper to get a really high contrast result. It just wasn't working with the laminating process. It seemed to dull down the contrast. So the white core paper made it all work. This is not white core paper. This is going to be much more like this cardstock. So I'm expecting our best case scenario for contrast is going to be something like this maple leaf set up here, which is still plenty. You can see an image with it. And you can still actually do a fairly good render on something like this. So we still have to look at this, see how it works, but we've tested with a couple markers just for fun on that cover. Now let's test the pages in here. Let's go not all the way to the back, one from the back. And let's just start with pens and markers. So this is the Pigma 05 marker. Okay. This will be a you know, I don't know how to say that. Is it Italian? Stabilo? 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 If it'll focus there. Wow. Snappy. Popular color. Oh, this one. Is this one my green one? But this is a 0.88 fine 0.4. Made in Germany. Stabilo. I don't know. Anyway, we'll just write down what it is. I think I got this in Quebec City, Quebec in Canada, in a really lovely bookstore. And I used Canadian money to purchase it, and the cashier would not speak English to me. Bless his heart. And I could not remember my change for the life of me, so I'm pretty sure I overpaid or just handed him money. That sounded like more than the vague numbers that I understood. And I got some change, and who the hell knows? Who the hell knows? But love that guy for sticking to his roots and not, you know, I didn't show up with understanding his local language, so he shouldn't have to cater to me. Okay, this is going to be just a Bic pen. Very simple. We do have some more markers. We do have some gel. This is a jelly roll. '08 in this lovely red, which almost goes down vibrant orange. We have a pencil, I should say. This is just a, what size? 0.03. Just say this is a mech. Mech, that's supposed to be an H. Pencil. 0.3. And last of all, we've got a regular fine point Sharpie. So we'll do Sharpie fine point. I guess that's as opposed to the extra fine point, because they make them smaller than this. All right, moment of truth. Did we get any bleed through? Not onto the next page, but if you're using a marker on here, which, you know, this is kind of advertised towards kids, they're probably going to use markers, crayons, things like that. You're going to see it through. These are very thin pages. So we have definitely established that. I don't particularly mind on this. I would probably be in here with regular pen or pencil, and I'm probably just going to have drawings and notes and things like that. And those are the ones that are going to show up the least. So to give you a frame of reference, these are the markers and things that we've used. And flipped over, those are how they are showing through. So basically, your stronger colors are showing through, your bolder lines are showing through. It's just thin paper. That's what you get. That's how you're going to get 48 pages, 24 sheets, and something small like this. So I will have to do some learning to establish what's reasonable. You know, if you want something pocketable and you want a lot of pages, this is what's going to happen, no matter what. There's trade-offs. So this is the result on this brand with whatever thickness of paper. I can't see it on this, and I don't remember from when I ordered it. But yeah, they are fitting 24 sheets into a small little pocketbook like that. Those are the results you're going to get. I do really want to learn how to bookbind. at some point. I think that would be super cool. I recently got a sewing machine for $20 at a garage sale, and that has kind of expanded my horizons for, don't think I would be, you know, sewing through the spines like this necessarily, but it does kind of open up some different options for what I can do with maker stuff. And that would be a really cool thing to sell on a website. Little small limited runs of bespoke books that could be engraved custom to a purchaser's desires, or just have a particular design, and I can just make what I'm comfortable making. It would get sold for whatever it gets sold for, and that would be it. It'd be a fun little process, and it'd be absolutely lovely if I could master a new skill and use it in that way to make something beautiful that I can share with people. So this is kind of where this is eventually headed. But we have 170 of these little bad boys. Why am I putting that away? I'm gonna lose it. Yeah, we have 170 of these books. This is unbranded. So why don't I write in here what this is? This is a Fila brand pocket craft notebook. We're gonna write the exact stuff down, because that's probably what's gonna trace back to their listing. They've got their specific word arrangement for their Google search type stuff. This is an A6 blank. If I had to go with one, I'd probably go with blank. This came from a 170 pack. I know you can get smaller, but of course the per book price is different. And it's 48 pages, 24 sheets. Good. So now at least I could look at this book 35 years down the line when I'm finally starting to run out of these and be like, man, can I order that again? And this company will be bankrupt, no longer exists. Basically that. I could also save that sticker or take a photo or whatever, but that's where we're at. We got ourselves another little coupon there to work with. Radiant says, I remember doing Zentangle all the time in high school. Heck yes. So my mom taught me about it. I think she got a book from the library on it and taught it to me. And I've had a lot of fun making it from time to time, sharing photos back to her. It's fun. It's a little therapeutic process. I absolutely love it. Okay, we are cooking here. We gotta get some more time covered. We have another, believe it or not, set of journals. These are travel journals. Probably just because they're small. Though, we just looked at some A6 blank notebooks, and I'm thinking how the sizes work. These bad boys are much bigger. I don't understand my paper sizing, clearly. But yeah, these are substantial. They're not as thick as you'd think. There's 6 books here, but still quite a bit going on. So let's take a closer look at these bad boys. And get a feel for how these are looking. It does at least list the paperweight on this, so that's going to start giving me a better idea, learning about the different papers and thicknesses and things like that, and what's legit, what's not, what actually works. So this is called a soft cover. This is identical to the last one that we looked at in terms of construction, just bigger. And I believe we now have lines instead of, let me pick up what fell down here. Lines instead of blank. So there we go. We have, I guess that's called college ruled line. So you can write all of your diary entries in here, though this is not a calendar, this is not a diary, this is just blank with lines. Much bigger. We get black stitching along the spine here. Hopefully this will focus just a little bit. Yeah, black stitching along the back. This looks like if you press down, if you folded it reasonably, it's gonna lay flat so that you can work on it without it getting super crazy on the other side. I don't know, is it gonna always stay closed really nice if you're doing that? Hard to say without further use. Let me check it out in chat here. Brittany says, wait, paper sizes? What if the dimensions of the ones you have? What are? I have an A6 and an A5. This one's the A5, the last one's an A6. So this one's A6 format. I don't know the inches or anything like that. And this is supposed to be an A5, so regular 8.5 by 11 something paper, is that A4 size? I know at work when they print maps and things, it's like A2 or something. It's like freaking huge. I don't know their standard or why they do it like that, but yeah. Okay, so you get a blank page for your first one, and then you have all of your lined pages and then another blank page at the very end. You've got a soft cover, they call it. It's just paper, just cardstock. It feels similar to this cardstock, a little bit smoother. This is just some Astra Bright black cardstock. And they're about similar in tone. The cardstock's just a touch darker maybe, or slightly different sheen or something like that. Oh, we have, oh, I thought we had to redeem. I've earned 800 bagel crumbs on my other channel, so I could redeem something for myself. Hilarious. But yeah, this is pretty cool. So what I didn't realize, or maybe I've just forgotten, is this is actually the same brand. So why don't we compare? So we were looking at the blank, what did they call it? Pocket Craft notebook in an A6 size from the same brand, Fila. Really the main difference is that the size is different, the pages are blank in here, and you've got white stitching on the spine. I think they kind of advertise these as being like waterproof sometimes. I don't know specifically, don't quote me on that. But they're saying like the cover is kind of semi-water repellent, something like that. I would not trust that. But what we need to do is go near the end here on this one and do a bleed through test. So we've got pens and markers here. This is just our Bic pen. We've got a Jelly Roll pen. In that lovely like red orange shade. Let's do our pencil. This is a mechanical pencil. And it's a 0.3. We've got this Pigma. Micron. And it was a 0.5 archival ink marker. We've got the Stabilo. And it's 0.88. I don't know. We'll put it And we'll also put fine 0.4. Okay. That won't show up, so I think what we have left is the Sharpie. Okay, Sharpie fine point. Let's take a look here now. So that's how it went down. Pretty reasonable. Looks nice. How did it bleed through? So the Sharpie definitely bled through. I can see everything over here, but I don't think it would be distracting, except for that Sharpie. I would say that's a better result than the craft book that we're kind of comparing to here. So that went down like this and shines through that much. I think it's more visible here. I would definitely say it is. It's slight, but I can see like dots where the ink has really penetrated, like it's almost starting to get through more than half the page or even more than that. I only see that on our Sharpie. Admittedly, I was writing slower when I did this, writing much faster when I did that. You know, your mileage may vary, but what they're claiming is that this is a 250 GSM cover. Aha. That does specifically say cover. So that may not actually be, yeah, that seems like an awfully high number. I do not know my paper weights yet. I need to learn those and get an idea of what's normal, like what's printer paper, what's construction paper, stuff like that. But it seems to be that these pages work a little bit better with slightly heavier markers and things like that. So you could use your nice, your ballpoint pens. I don't know, I should get like a fountain pen or something, a quill even, and really test these to see how it bleeds through. But these, you know, these are super affordable. You're talking less than $1 per book in all cases here, and sometimes even less than half $1 per book. So I'm not expecting the world. You know, these are probably going to be just a light pen, light basic pen, or pencil for notes or ideas, diary entries on both of these little journals. So let me, for my sanity and future proofing, write down what we've got here. So this is Fila Travel Journal. A5. We'll write down the soft cover because it might be relevant for actually finding this listing in the future. I'm hoping that if I love using these, I can order more in the future, or even their generic version. I'm assuming they buy it from somebody. I don't know if they actually manufacture it. It is 92 pages, so quite a few more pages. "46 sheets. And we'll put the college ruled. I think it would be really cool if we had alternating pages. I don't know if you can actually do that very easily with book construction, but if I were to make my own books, you know, I probably could, where one page would be blank, and then I don't know if you'd flip it over and it'd be ruled on the other side, or if it would be blank both sides and then ruled. That might be easier. You could just alternate blank pages and double ruled pages, and it'd just alternate back and forth. But then you can have a drawing, illustrations, point to things over here, and then you can write out in a nice organized fashion over here, and vice versa. I think that'd be really cool. But I personally can't imagine how difficult it would be to get even ruling lines if I were to manufacture something like this. But now I've got my little book notes here. Let's write down, this is Gadgets. Book. Very good. All right, now we have our second kind of like demo copy that we can compare with that other one. There we go. That was the travel journal from Fila, looking at it from a perspective of laser etching and remanufacturing to sell as a custom product for people. This is basically a super generic item that you can purchase and customize to your heart's desire, and then hopefully put it to good use for somebody. All right, we've got one more thing to look at quickly, and then we are gonna raid out. So please stick around for the raids on both channels. Not that the other channel can hear me very well. All right, that went very well. Okay, this last thing is quite exciting, and let me get my comparison tool that I thought I had over here. There's some clear cases. There it is, standing right beside it. Couldn't see it because of that. Okay, so this is very exciting. This fits into my theme of buy a bulk thing that's affordable that lasts a long time instead of buying a bunch of a little thing that's very expensive. If you've got a little bit of room, oftentimes it makes a lot of sense to fit in something like this. So this is from the brand Brilliance. They offer powders and sprays and all sorts of things that help you mark metals. So this is a chemical coating. It's like an ink that comes in a powder form. You dissolve it in alcohol, which I've heard you can use denatured alcohol, which is good because I have a ton of that at the moment. And you apply this to a metal. Let's say this nice shiny aluminum right angle square. You would apply it to this material. You would apply heat with a laser, like a diode laser, fiber laser. I don't know about a UV laser. We're going to test that out, maybe at certain settings. And this will interact with the material and leave a permanent mark. So even if your laser, like a diode laser, can't affect metals, you can still use the heat transfer, the very localized heat transfer, and this material is going to affect your metal. So I will have to do some further testing, see how this works on my diode laser and on my UV laser, on different materials. I'm very, very excited for it. You can buy this in a spray can. It's insanely expensive. It's like $30 or something for a whole spray can that will not last super long. This will last quite a long time. There's not like a whole lot of powder in there, but that is pre-weighted to be mixed, and you will get a whole container here that then you spread a thin layer on a material. I believe probably in even coats. I don't know the whole application process. Let's read it here. Add denatured alcohol as directed. Amazing. Use a clean marking surface free of oil and grease. Makes sense. Ensure. Oh, I'm going wrong here. Hang on. Okay. After adding alcohol, step 2, stir, shake well. Step 3, use a clean marking surface free of oil and grease. Step 4, apply mixture on surface with even coats. So it sounds like you could do multiple coats. That would be fascinating. Step 5, ensure that the mixture is completely dried on the surface. Step 6, begin marking at desired speed power settings. So you'd have to figure all that crap out. I'm sure somebody's done some proper testing with this stuff. I may even do my own testing and be able to share all of this with you guys at some point. But here's a quick B-roll shot of the bottle. But yes, this should be a more cost-effective option compared to the spray paint. Of course, you have to brush it on, or maybe you could spray it on with a little air tool or something, but this also costs about $30. But I think you're getting a better value here in terms of you apply just what you want to your material instead of spraying across. Just the art of spraying paint, there's so much wasted paint to get an even coat. So you might be trading off a little bit of evenness, which may or may not matter yet, I don't know, going this paint on route, but you're definitely getting to apply every last drop of this. And this should also keep for quite a while. You're not worried about aerosols spraying in weird areas, anything like that. So very excited about this. Very interested to see how it works with the UV laser, if I can tune it to do like a bunch of lower power passes to kind of build up heat in an area, if that'll work, or if I'm gonna have to use this exclusive with the diode laser. But this would allow me to mark certain materials where the UV laser would probably just obliterate the area, not actually like darken it. And if the diode laser won't touch it, this is going to be my way to transfer. You can also use mustard, apparently. You can use mustard instead of this. Dijon mustard works quite well, apparently. There's all kinds of weird little chemical reactions you can have, but this is supposed to be the good stuff. It's a little bit of an investment, but it should give me some pretty cool options. I'll be able to test it with those stainless steel business cards. There's aluminum business cards, different material coupons, stuff like that. But that is it for me, and I will catch you again. And send me a Dynamorph if you want. I'll put it on a coaster. I'll send it to you. Sounds amazing. All right, have a good night. Bye. Bye-bye.